Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
Is there a 10010110010 here? Hey everyone, I want a 100101110. Okay.
All right, we got Chris.
Once again, comics have given me a reason to live.
And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. We're reading some fun comics today. We are reading a Simpsons Futurama crossover special. What's it called? Crossover Crisis. It's a collection of a few little things here. We've never read any Simpsons Futurama of anything before. Nothing from Bongo Comics. I'm excited. This was a lot of fun here. And then, of course, we are continuing on to Knightfall. We've been doing our long read. We're on Chapter 17 in Batman 499. But for now, Simpsons stuff. So this was kind of like the titles were parodies of like the DC Crisis, of course, but it's like their own thing. It's the Infinitely Secret Crossover Crisis from 2002, which was 2 issues, and then the Simpsons Futurama Crossover Crisis 2 from 2005. And then it all got compiled into a big trade of 4 issues with a couple of special things here. Who wrote these? The writer and artist aren't listed anywhere in the book. It's all just credited to Matt Groening.
Ian Boothby wrote all the story for all 4.
Oh, it's listed in the chapters. That's right. Ian Boothby did all the writing. Thank you.
Yeah, the writer for Nina Matsumoto, who does a lot of who has done a lot of Bongo stuff later, who I'm more familiar with because she is on Retronauts and other podcasts I listen to all the time.
Yeah. And then James Lloyd does the art for all these issues.
Yes, which is kind of impressive how much it just looks like the cartoons, I guess. I'm always impressed when people can just copy things and make it look exactly like a different style.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty, it's hard to stay on model, and the Simpsons world is pretty on model. I mean, to be fair, like a lot of characters have like that, like kind of like, upper, what does it try? Like upper lip kind of, overbite that Matt Groening draws, but like the colors, everything looks on model compared to like when we read like Sonic comics or even, like where things are a little like dicey in between each issue. You're like, this isn't the same. Like this looks reasonably like the show, both shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely, I heard there's a couple of lines of dialogue that are a little clunky, but I heard almost everything in the voice of the characters on the show.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my big things where like they really did script every character super well.
You're going to hear my impressions of all these characters, folks.
Well, it's because it was funny because like I haven't watched The Simpsons in 20 plus years, but the second that like Principal Skinner's mom said Seymour to him, I was like, I think that's a Tress MacNeille voice. Like without ever having seen that show in 20 years, and I'm like, I bet that's her. Just by hearing the voice in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also the voice of Mom, Tress MacNeille.
And Daisy Duck and all the Disney cartoons.
Well, I mean, in this comic, she's Mom, the robot owner.
I also, like, before we jump into it, I feel like I got to say that this is very much a gag comic in line, I guess, with, like, the Mario stuff that we read.
Yeah.
Not exactly, but...
Because it's good?
I was going to say, this is actually funny.
But there are some reasons that I think we'll talk about once we get through it. But just to kind of say, we're not going to be able to talk about every little thing in this comic because these things are dense. I don't want to skip ahead to final thoughts, but I do think it's worth reading just to kind of see all the little bits of details that are in there, which are really, really nice.
Well, yeah, because it's a crossover of both the Simpsons and the Futurama universes, and both those universes don't focus like on their main 5 cast members and then call it a day. They have like real deep benches on both sides.
And you see everybody.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault, I would say. Especially in the first crossover, I was like, I'm getting a little too much of characters I don't care about.
Yeah.
But and we're doing this because Futurama just started back up on Hulu, and I liked the new episode of Futurama. There's now 2 as of this episode coming out, but as of recording, only one's been out. It's already feels better than the Comedy Central reboot about 10 years ago, so I'm happy.
Wow, a high bar to clear.
It is a high. I mean, like I was kind of done with Futurama. I'm like, I didn't actually even finish the Comedy Central run, despite the 2000s run being like one of my favorite shows at the time. So
yeah, I didn't finish even the movies they made because I thought those were bad.
Yeah,
so the Comedy Central run I was not interested. I've not watched the Hulu run, so I'm sure it's fine. It probably has the same problem The Simpsons was running into, which is, we mentioned, the voice of Daisy Duck and lots of other people. Billy West is what, like 67 or 70 years old.
71 now. Playing a young guy. He's probably, Farnsworth, I guess, is like 100 something years old. But now we're getting
Farnsworth fine, but it's the same thing that like Julie Kavner, like visibly dying, like in every new season of The Simpsons, where you're just like her voice, she can barely hold on to the Marge voice.
That's a hard voice too. That's rough on her.
Yeah. It is. It's because even like the Patty and Selma, like she just sits in one register and never leaves it. So like Patty and Selma are easier than Marge. But yeah, she's getting old. A lot of the Futurama cast also getting old. John DiMaggio, I assume getting old, but I assume he sounds exactly the same.
I think he's younger. I think I looked him up. He's like either early 60s or in 50s still. He's very young.
Yeah, he was younger, but he just does that voice, so he can do it for forever. He's Bender for people who don't know.
Bender and Jake
from,
the dog.
He's also Jake in Adventure Time. He's also the guy who says it's the freaking bat in like every Batman game for the last 20 years.
I mean, he's done millions of voices. But we're kind of getting a little off topic, but it's on topic for sure. But I think we should jump into the story here. We're going to find a lot more things to talk about as we go through. These might take us a bit to get through. Hopefully we can keep this episode fairly short, but we'll see. But let's jump into it. Chapter 1, Somewhere Over the Brainbow. We start in Springfield. Diamond Joe Quimby is running for re-election. Definitely made me think of Diamond Joe Biden there. And everyone is at this speech. It's kind of boring. And Marge is like, well, his opponent is a crowd favorite. And his opponent is Snowball the Second, their cat.
Yep. Snowball too. Yep.
Wonderful. Everyone loves this cat except Lisa. She thinks it's a mockery of the election system.
It's her cat. She
it's
just
her
doesn't
cat
like
too.
This election.
Right.
There's a whole lot more backstory in this because. This is like
a real
this
issue.
This is from another issue.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing a weird little thing that's about to happen. So, this cat is doing something cute, playing with yarn, and Quimby's like, "Well, look at me with my giant ball of yarn," and it's too big. He lands on some kids. And then we instantly see this is all a Simpsons comic that Fry has been reading on the ship in Futurama. And Bender thinks it's broken because the pictures aren't moving, and he's like, "No, it's like an old timey comic." And
I don't think this is canon for the Futurama TV show. I don't recall them ever bringing it up, but in the comic, the Futurama comic, Simpsons is still making new episodes in the Futurama time. They've still been making them for 1,000-something seasons. That's the joke.
That's the lore.
and I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, he explains. Maybe he explains this later, but these are reprints of old comics that he's currently reading. And Leela tells everyone to pipe down as usual. They're on the way to the Geek-E Galaxy to pick up the biggest comics collection in the universe. They're planning to take it back to Earth so it can be sealed in liquid diamond forever, so that they can stay valuable. Which is definitely supposed to be a joke about like diamond comics distribution.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I think maybe. Yep.
Yes.
But Fry hates the idea of this. Nobody will be able to read them. What's the point of like sealing them up? Which is the age-old collector dilemma.
Yeah, which of course Leela is like Fry. Comics are just like something to distract children between dropping out of school or whatever. Just like it's been proven that comics cause juvenile delinquency, so It's not worth preserving except as a valuable artifact.
Yeah. They talk about The Simpsons for a little bit. They joke that everybody went blind the first time they broadcast in HD in 2009.
Which this is from 2002, so I wonder
when
Right. They haven't done it yet.
Yeah. This is where Fry says these are reprints. He says they're the only non-pornographic comics still being published. And then Leela's like, "Oh yeah, Bongo Comics. That was a tax write-off. They were selling munitions to kids." So many gags. I stopped writing down gags later, I promise.
So Simpsons' first HD episode actually was in 2009. Despite this being written too. Holy shit.
Whoa.
Wow, they called it.
Wow. Let's see.
I think probably they were forced to do it. It's probably what happened. I think with the government. But either way, like I love this. I see Scott McCloud's head in a jar. I see Jack Kirby smoking a cigar and a head in a jar. I'm on board.
Yeah, that part confused me because he was already dead by 1999, 2001.
Nixon's a head in a jar in their canon also.
I guess.
And I just watched the episode.
Yeah.
Chester A. Arthur was there too. I don't know how.
I'm just like Stan Lee was alive at this time, and Jack Kirby's dead. So I'm just like, it's weird that they're together.
They can revive the head, right? In the future.
Yeah, in Futurama rules, yes, clearly they can. They have Abraham Lincoln and Thomas Jefferson and head in charge.
So they're loading up these long boxes onto the ship for delivery, and a bunch of living brains attack them. We've seen these living brains on the TV show before.
Yes.
I vaguely remember them.
Yes. The day the Earth stood stupid.
I watched this episode for research, and then my daughter fucking loved it, and she's 4, and we've now watched the Bad Brains episode literally 8 times today.
Wow.
She loves when the Neblonians eat all the brains at the end. She's like, "That's great. My brain is good. Their brains are bad." I'm like, "Okay, it's a good episode."
It's a good episode. Good one to latch onto.
I still, when I send text messages, I still say for no reason to this day.
Because you're the greatest.
This episode of Futurama.
Wow.
I'm leaving Earth forever for no reason.
All right, so these brains zap everybody stupid. Leela and Fry go unconscious. No, sorry. Leela and Bender go unconscious / stupid, but Fry is fine because he is missing the Delta brainwave. Could this be the human that has thwarted our race in the past? Yep.
Which there's a episode Roswell that ends well that explains why he's immune to the Delta brainwaves.
Oh yes. So everyone wakes up, and the brains do like a literature mind meld to send them into a book. But it's like to get rid of the humans. They're like, we're just going to trap them in a book here. But they don't have a real book. They just have comics. And they're like, this isn't real literature. It'll have to do.
Yeah, because in the TV show, they ended up like in Moby Dick, Tom Sawyer, and Pride and Prejudice.
Yes. This is less fun than previously advertised. Tom Sawyer.
Curse you and this thing from Americana. And then Leela like hits on Queequeg from Moby Dick, and she goes, "Is there a Mrs. Queequeg?" Which is a joke that's like had me howling all week. It's fucking funny. So anyways.
So they get zapped into a comic book instead, and they get zapped into first a Beach Bully parody ad.
Yes, the Charles Atlas weightlifting ad.
Yes. Oh, it's the Charles Thesaurus weightlifting ad. And it's a fine little parody. And Fry ends like the living brain is a lifeguard in this parody, and Fry's like, all right, I'm just gonna punch it, and they get zapped out of the comic.
I do appreciate that even though every panel is the same, every piece of dialogue is different. So that the reveal of him being like, "Where's that brain?" And then like going after the lifeguard. It's a funny reversal of like they're stuck in the panels of a comic, but every time Fry's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I'm over here now. Cool." But they get out of there, and they're like, "Oh my God, comics are too volatile. We can't hold people in comics as easily as we can hold them in books." So the brains realize, wait a minute, we can just trap them in a comic without following them in. Why did we ever do it any other way? So then the entire Planet Express company gets sent into the Simpsons comic. It is everyone. It's Leela, Fry, Bender. You got Zoidberg. You got Amy. You got Hermes. You got Nibbler. You got Professor Farnsworth. You got the janitor, Scruffy. I think that's everybody. Yeah. They're in there. They're kind of stuck, but they show up at basically where we open the comic, at the re-election campaign, the debate with Mayor Quimby and the cat. And Nibbler is like, all right, I'm going to use my psychic powers to save everyone. I need full concentration, focus on me, and we can get us out of here. And then he gets crushed by the giant ball of yarn when Quimby is playing with it. And everyone just kind of disappears after that. Fry is all alone. He's the only one. And everyone has dispersed. The brains have also encased the comic in liquid diamonds, so they are trapped in there. But Nibbler's going to kind of stay where he's at and focus on a way to, like some kind of plan. Fry's going to go looking for everybody. It's a nice little premise already. Here is where the comic does really start jumping around to lots of little vignettes with lots of little people just kind of doing their own thing all over town.
Yes.
And again, we're going to miss some of it here, but start with Bender. He nobody remembers anything either, other than Fry. Everyone else has just been zapped, kind of memory lost. They're just in this world and don't know who they are. So Bender is a robot who's walking around. He reeks of booze, doesn't remember anything. He says, all right, lesson learned, I'll never drink again. He finds a bar and decides to celebrate his new sobriety. Heads in there, and he meets Mo and Lenny and Carl.
This
and
is
they're
great. I love this. Like, this is, I think it instantly, like, sets to me, like, the table of, like, Bender's going to go to Mo's. And I'm like, yeah, 100% on board.
Yeah.
And for me as well, I kind of forget that he's a robot. You know what I mean? He's just a regular character on the show in a cartoon with these other cartoons. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. No, they're looking at this guy and he's a freaking robot. They don't know what he's about. And they're like, oh, he must be the new Duff mascot. He's just a guy in a robot suit because he's drinking so much beer. And they're like, oh, he's got to be. They're like, hey, man, are you the Duff mascot? Oh, well, will it get me free beer? Like, yeah, I'll just bill it to them. Meanwhile, Homer comes out of the bathroom. He's soaking wet from not knowing how to use the bidet. He has a small argument with Bender over his stool. It's got his name on it. But then they drink, and they're great friends. They get drunk together. Good times. Everybody else does their own thing. What were you going to say, Chris?
Yeah, good commentary on my, high school criticism of Futurama of like, Bender is just jerk-ass Homer.
That's right. Mo and Lenny do say something along those lines of like, hey, I love this guy. He does this and this and this. He kind of reminds me of. And Homer pops in.
Yeah.
We see Scruffy the janitor gets a new job as a janitorial assistant under groundskeeper Willie. Fry is kind of like tailing him, and he gets mistaken for a new teacher by Principal Skinner, who drags him into school. He's already late for class. He's taken over for Mrs. Krabappel, who is sick. And he's like, oh, my gosh, this is Bart Simpson's class. And he's so excited for it. And all the kids are excited. I'm like, hey, Bart, how are you going to bully this substitute teacher? And he's like, they're all different. And Bart starts with a big old whoopee cushion. And then Bart's like, wait a minute.
Does he?
Wait a minute. I don't have a whoopee cushion in here. Classic fart joke. Leela is...
That's one of the rare times when a character is off model. I feel like Matt Groening would never have Fry be drawn with like the like level of like rosy cheeks that he has. Like he would never approve of that.
I feel like I've seen it from Fry before. I don't know.
It's like embarrassment of farting.
Oh, they are too red. They are too red.
That's like whenever Matt Groening on the commentary, whenever the dog looks too human, he's like, I don't like this. Dog should be a dog.
We see Leela, who is wearing some sunglasses. Where did she say she got these sunglasses?
She stole them from Roy, right? The Poochie that was the Simpsons housemate.
Yes, Poochie, old Poochie. We have she gets mistaken for a guidance counselor when Lisa's getting bullied, and she's like, "Oh, you guidance counselors are useless." And so Leela goes, beats up the girls, gets her lunch back. They start to do a lot of bonding throughout these issues here.
It is funny because like it's a comic and you don't hear the voices, but that was Meryl Streep and who was the other bully? It was like someone famous. Was it Drew Barrymore? It was someone else famous. Was the red-haired bully that she beats up? I'm like, You'll never see them in the show because Meryl Streep is Jessica Lovejoy, and then I the redhead is someone else too.
I had no idea. We see, I don't know how Hermes and Zoidberg even got into the power plant, but that's what they are. They're walking around together. They're like, who are we? How did we get here? Well, we're together. We must be best friends. And they share an embrace because they're best friends and they love each other. Burns and Smithers are watching on monitors, wondering what those two, what's the phrasing? Alternative couple? Alternative lifestyle couple, yeah.
Yeah, they just think that Zoidberg has been mutated by the nuclear waste.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and they're like, oh my God, we have to worry about this employee suing us. So they invite Hermes and Zoidberg to dinner at the country club. Then after class, Fry pulls Bart aside, and Bart's like, and Fry is like, hey, I was kind of like you when I was younger. And Bart's thinking, okay, there's gonna be some heart to heart where you try to teach me like, how you can relate to me, whatever. And then Fry says, yeah, we're from the year 3000 and we're stuck in this comic book and blah blah blah. And Bart's like, yeah, I did not expect to hear that.
That was pretty funny.
I liked it. But Bart does not believe him. On his way out, Willie's like, "Hey, is the school empty, Bart?" I don't know how he expects Bart to know this, but Bart's like, "Yep, lock it up," and they lock Fry in there all night. And then Willie and Scruffy walk away talking about quantum theory. It's wonderful.
Scruffy loves quantum theories.
Professor Farnsworth is then crossing the street, but he doesn't like the street lights don't make any sense to him, so he messes with them and creates like a hologram of a woman to come out of there.
This is something that's in these comics that's not, I don't feel like in the TV show. Farnsworth like making like little MacGyver devices out of everything. This is like
he's an inventor, but yeah, it's like the fact that he's making them out of like spare parts and this
like gum and like an old MP3 player and that kind of stuff. I feel like that's not him from the TV show.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like his inventions are more just like they are bad inventions, more than like he just makes them out of spare parts.
Yeah.
But we see Apu, we see comic book guy, we see that plantation owner guy getting crashes. Marge finds Nibbler and thinks it's a baby, feeds him milk. That is Nibbler's one weakness, is milk. He regresses to a baby, going all goo goo gaga. Maggie is jealous. She does not like Nibbler getting all this attention.
That subplot didn't go anywhere.
It went nowhere. And the Professor Farnsworth gets taken to jail. Oh no! Well, the cops.
He gets taken to their retirement home for they think he's a quack.
A nice little cliffhanger. How are we gonna get everybody back together? Dun, dun, dun. Got to go to chapter 2. Liquid Diamond is forever.
The only guy who knows what's going on is the second stupidest guy in the comic.
Yeah, he's very dumb. So Bender gets thrown out of the bar for what he did to the love testing machine.
I love this splash page to open up the issue. I really like it.
Oh, where Bender's getting kicked out of the bar? Yeah, it's very nice.
It doesn't seem like usually what you kind of see in Simpsons with like a Dutch angle, but
yeah, and like a nice little shadow over everything. It's nice. And he and Homer head home together. Sorry.
I will say it gets to be a little bit tiresome. I think it's one of 3 human robot sex jokes that
yes. I will say I like the second robot sex joke a little bit better of all of them. But he and Homer are heading home drunk together. They get mugged, but Bender gets this look in his eye.
Snake, is that his name?
Yeah, Snake Jailbird.
Snake. He steals Snake's tattoo, which is worrying.
It seems he killed Snake.
Yes, it's unclear. Bender tells Homer that he's homeless, and Homer's like, "Hey, no friend of mine is going to go without shelter and food for the night." So he yells into Flanders as Homer, like, "Hey, Flanders, give my friend a place to stay and feed him." And Oakley dokley.
That's a good joke. That made me laugh.
It's great. Nibbler is sharing a room with Maggie, and Maggie is fuming about this. Nibbler poops. I'd forgotten this about Nibbler poops, but they're like the densest thing in the world.
Dark matter, yeah.
They're like black holes, yeah.
It falls down through the house, through Mole Man's little lair. It goes through hell. It bounces off Stalin's head, and he gives a little ow. And Satan says, "Hey, pipe down. I'm watching TV." And he's watching Family Guy. Oh, great
Satan is watching Family Guy and this Futurama Simpsons crossover. Mm-hmm. It's good.
I do like that. Is that say something about Stalin's head? I don't know. That the dark matter bounced off of it when it went through everything else. We see Professor Farnsworth in the retirement home talking to Grandpa Simpson. The nerd scientist guy, Professor Frink.
Professor Frink.
Yes, we have Professor Farnsworth and Professor Frink. They team up together. Where really Professor Frink recognizes that this guy is a genius. He's like, I have to bust him out.
Again, Professor Frink's father is voiced by Jerry Lewis in the show. So like another voice you'll never hear a second time.
Wow.
We get he summons his giant robot, busts out Professor Farnsworth, and they get out of there. I thought this joke was a little bit better. Ned Flanders goes down to his basement and sees Bender fucking his jukebox, and he faints, and Bender runs away. I thought that was better than the Love Machine joke for sure. Plus, then Ned Flanders is like passed out, and his kids are like, "Get the smelling salts." No, what did they say? Get the sissy salts. All right. Now we're at the dinner party. We have Hermes and Zoidberg are being fed by Smithers and Burns. Just so many names in this comic. I can't get them all quick enough here. But Hermes is like, oh, I need more spice on this food. So he pulls out. He always keeps some Mom's seasoning, and he pulls it out in the jar. The little bottle is in the shape of Mom, and it gives Smithers some weird feelings. He doesn't like it. Mr. Burns starts choking because Smithers forgot to cut up the little sesame seeds on his bun. But Zoidberg to the rescue. He saves his life by dropping him in a bowl of punch. He calls for
electrocuting the punch.
Yes, he calls for a toaster that's plugged in. That's what he asks for. They're outdoors, but somebody gets it to him. They electrocute him, and everyone's like, "What are you doing, man? You could have killed him." But Burns is like, "No. This guy saved my life. He's my new personal physician." I love how quickly everything moves in this comic. It's wonderful.
So Burns is like, "I must be a great doctor."
The next day at school, Fry proves to Bart that he's from the future by showing Bart the comic that they're in. And he's like, "You gotta help me find my friends." And Bart's like, "Well, why don't you just like look through the comic and see where they are?" And he's like, "Dope." So they go skateboarding together. Zoidberg.
They have anti-gravity gum, which comic book guy says is the worst Back to the Future reference ever.
Yes. Zoidberg is feasting on a bucket of caviar in Mr. Burns' office, while Hermes admires Smithers' filing system. Then Hermes starts to get his memories back when he gets mad at Zoidberg for like sneezing some black goop all over him. And they start to talk about like, oh my God, we're from the future, blah, blah, blah. Of course, Burns and Smithers are monitoring all of this, and they see that they're from the future. He gets some ideas. He gets some guards to summon them away to discuss this time-traveling business. Leela and Lisa are back at the Simpsons residence. Leela confuses it for what is it called? The holophone that they have on the show?
The holophoner, yeah. It's a musical instrument in Futurama.
But they have a nice little bonding moment about both kind of not getting enough attention as kids. And, Leela gives Lisa some advice about it. And then Lisa plays the sax for a bit, and it's so beautiful that Leela cries out of her one eye. But then Leela sees Nibbler. They're both in the same home there, and her memories start to come back, and so are Nibbler's. And Nibbler links everyone together so that everybody's memories come back and everybody remembers.
Good. We don't need to waste time now.
Yep.
That plot device is now gone. It doesn't matter.
I love it. And the comic book knows it. Bart and Fry get home, and they're like, "Hey, everybody, the living brains are," and everybody yells, "We know." And then Homer gets home with his big news, and he's like, everybody have big news. We know. And his big news is the Duff mascot robot knocked up Flanders' jukebox. Okay, maybe the third one was better.
He's gonna make that jukebox an honest woman.
He comes in with a tux and a ring. So everybody drives to the power plant because Nibbler senses there's going to be some sort of catastrophe there. They use the flying gum to go over traffic, but they kind of have too much weight, so Bender has to dump all the he stole from Flanders' place. But he's also got Fry's holophoner in there. He gives that back to Fry. Meanwhile, Homer, who's chewing this gum so that the car can fly, he's like, out of flavor, spits it out. And the car starts crashing down. They land on the Duff blimp, thankfully. They're all saved. Bender lights a celebratory cigar. And the blimp goes up in flames. They all fall again, but the two professors fly by with a giant magnet to save them. Hooray. There's still too much weight, so they dump Fry and Lisa out there, who bond over the holophoner. It's very nice. Everybody else bursts into the power plant. Burns is about to dip Zoidberg in acid. He's got him tied up above a big old vat of toxic waste. Hermes is tied up as well. And the professor he explains the theory that this world is fictional, and he's made a device that's going to shatter the barrier between the fictional world and the real world. And Bart holds up this comic as proof of it, and Homer and Marge are looking in it and like, oh. Marge is like, does my butt always look that big? Burns.
Come on, you can do better Marge than that. What's your Marge impression, Kia?
Okay, hold on. Hold on. I can only do the beginning of a Marge impression, and not even that's not good. Your voice really has to be like, does my butt always look that big?
Good.
All right, that was all right. That was all right. Not great.
Billy Kavner, watch out.
Yeah, I'll take over for Simpsons in 1,000 years from now.
Season 36 is new cast. Kia
yes.
Marge.
Season 36.
And that's how they're going to say it. Just Kia as Marge. That's it.
Homer, I'm really mad at you.
All right. So Mr. Burns demands that Professor Farnsworth gives him the device. And I love this line from Farnsworth. He says, "All right, here, take it, you young punk." All right, that was a terrible Farnsworth. If y'all want to
you
try
can
it,
do better than that.
No, I can't. I don't do a Farnsworth. I never claimed to.
All right. All right, you young punk. There you go.
That's pretty good. All right, so Smithers. All right, this is where shit goes wild. Smithers cartwheels in and takes the device from Mr. Burns, and then he unmasks. It was Amy under there all along, the least important character. We didn't even know we had forgotten about her. But she had, when everyone lost her memory, she simply checked her day planner and regained all her memories. Then she read on the newspaper one day that Zoidberg was now Mr. Burns' doctor. Amy has seen every episode of The Simpsons and knows that Mr. Burns is at the center of an evil plot every time. So she knocked out Smithers and took his place until Mr. Burns made his move. Great. Love it. All makes sense to me. But then Mr. Burns cartwheels in, and it's Smithers in a mask. What? And Amy's like, what? But I tied you up. Smithers used to be the magician's assistant to Burns and Gunter, who was like the Siegfried and Roy characters. So he knows how to get out of some ties. But where's the real Mr. Burns? He's been sitting in a big chair on the other side of the room the whole time, and he turns around, and it's him. Smithers gives him the device. Then the Galactic Time Council barges in. Those big aliens. What are their names?
It's King and Kodos.
Okay, there you go. And Smithers and Burns get scared and run away. And then Professor Farnsworth is like, wait a minute. The Galactic Time Council was disbanded eons ago over a sex scandal with the Sex Planet and the Sex Galaxy. But they're just holograms that Lisa created with the holophoner while Fry did voices. Great plan.
I do love that this entire King and Kodos fake out is like done in one page. In 3 panels. Like there's King and Kodos. Oh, cool.
We said it at the beginning. This thing is dense. It is dense.
This is, I think, before Gumpa Roast, where King and Kodos are introduced into a non-Halloween episode of The Simpsons.
Right.
One of the worst episodes.
So
written by Dan Castellaneta, so it's not like he can wipe his hands clean.
So Homer wants to be a hero too. He says he'll get Zoidberg down, but he accidentally drops him in instead. Zoidberg emerges as a handsome, blonde, muscular man. The women are drooling, but he assumes they're drooling in disgust because he's turned into a hideous creature. Then they end up pressing the button on the device so that they can get home. But like the fabric of reality is ripping. The brains back in the real world are transporting the long boxes around, and they're like, hey, there's a tear in this comic, but the grade says mint. And that wakes up the living brain planet, who's like a misgraded comic. That's a death penalty offense. And he zaps the comic out of the diamond. Nibbler can sense the barrier is shattered. They all do their mind melding thing, and they say goodbye. A nice little quote. I think Leela asks, Professor, do you think there will be any side effects to our weakening the barrier between reality and comics? What a forced and odd question. All right. I still can't get Farnsworth.
I was going to say, still pretty bad. Keep working on that one.
I'm not going to keep working on it. It's open. Then they get back to the future, And all the Simpsons characters are there in a big 2-page spread. What? Is this a cliffhanger being left open for the next 2-issue miniseries that we're about to leave? It must be.
I do like some of the gags on here. It's like Snake and Roberto, the stabbing robot, are running away with money. The Mafia Don, the Don bot is fighting, I guess, Simpsons versions of the Mafia. Yeah. Is that Brannigan's hitting on Miss Krabappel? Yeah, it's a good time.
Good stuff.
The only appearance of Miss Krabappel, I think, in these 4 issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think she shows up. At least she doesn't have a line in the part 2.
But I feel like we should talk about these 2 issues before we jump to the next 2-issue miniseries. Yeah.
Sure.
Because I do also feel they're pretty different from each other in a way. But I really, really like these first 2 issues. I think they are super tightly written, and like the gags are all very much in service of the story, and they kind of lead from one thing to the next. And I really like the plot too. It's an overall really fun comic to read, I thought. What did y'all think?
No, I was like, I was worried because I'm like, I really like Futurama. I'm not so much on Simpsons. But for whatever reason, but I was like, I really like this, and I hope that they are not gonna. I felt like I was gonna be the odd man out, being like, I really, really like this first arc. It's really fun. It gives me what I want. The characters are well, and I think it probably works well to have like Futurama come to the Simpsons world, and that's enough of the sci-fi premise. Like messing up their like real world, I think that works. And then the character pairings, like Leela and Lisa, get like a nice little like. Nice moment. Bart and Fry kind of relate. Bender going to Moe's. I think the character pairings all pretty much work. Smithers likes Hermes for a bit.
Hermes, yeah.
I like that.
Oh, he's so organized.
Chris, what about you?
I liked it. I do think it. There's maybe a couple too many little mini subplots. The Maggie and Nibbler and Amy replacing Smithers stuff, like that's a little bit too far. I'm like, I don't care about it that. But the main stuff I thought was really funny. There's some good gags. You mentioned the "we know," like the way that's set up is very funny. Again, it's like the second, and there's even one more in part 2. I guess that's human robot sex. Not robots having sex with each other.
All right.
But yeah, it's just like it's the better joke of those. So yeah, it's like we've talked in the past about some bad comedy comics, and this was funny. And again, almost all of it is in the voice of the characters. None of it. I love Professor Frink, and like just hearing Farnsworth's gibberish and immediately being like, he's right. Like that's really funny to me that because he's such a like quack scientist. Or Dr. Nick when the toaster works, where he's immediately like oh wow.
He calls Zoidberg a quack, I think. Literally.
Yes. But he probably means it in a good way because Dr. Nick also a quack.
Yes.
So I enjoyed it a lot.
There's an interlude issue here between the 2 arcs where it's called Hail to the Cat. It's the issue that Fry was reading. It's nice that they kind of included that here, but we did not read it. I kind of started flipping through it, and I was like, oh, okay, I see what this is.
So it goes off the rails, as all good Simpsons episodes do, where Act 1 is radically different than the back half. So Lisa, to prove, like, just to do a school experiment, like, has Snowball running against... like her dog makes videos, and then somebody decides to take those videos and actually put Snowball like attack ads against Mayor Quimby. So that's what has this premise of like Lisa's like, I didn't even realize this. So anyway, Snowball wins, and then Lisa like acts as like deputy mayor, and she learns that every mayor is allowed to get rid of one U.S. amendment in the Constitution. So she gets rid of the Second Amendment. And then the next day, the British immediately attack because that was the one thing holding the British invasion back. So the British invade and take over Springfield. It's pretty fucking nuts.
Wow.
Well, at least we still have the Third Amendment, so they couldn't stay at our.
No, Quimby got rid of that one. That was what they got rid of before.
They could already quarter soldiers.
So this was really funny to me, actually, because literally just a few days ago, before I read these comics, I was talking to a friend, and for some reason we started talking about like cities that have Like there was a literal goat for a mayor of a city somewhere, which is a real thing that exists. There's like a Wikipedia page of animals.
Animal mayors, yeah.
Yeah, animals elected to political office. There's more of them than you think.
It is more than zero.
Is there like an Air Bud rule? There's nothing in the rule book that says a goat can't run for mayor?
I mean, I feel like there is something in the rule book that says a goat can't run for mayor, but it still happened.
I don't know. You check the fine print.
Does the
it never
Constitution
says a human.
I guess, it probably depends from city to city, yeah.
The Constitution says 35 years old, but I don't know if it says like in Earth years or dog years or human years.
Yeah, and if you're like a turtle, that's like you're not even. I mean, you're gonna live to like 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, a turtle for mayor for 100 years.
Turtle for
I guess.
president.
Yeah.
They're born in the U.S. They're born in the U.S. And
yeah, I mean, we've already got one Senate Majority Leader, so what could be the problem making one president?
But all right, I think we do need to move on to the second arc now. This was the sequel that came out in 2005. And it pretty much picks up almost directly after this.
After Futurama is canceled, by the way. So in between Futurama...
The first time.
Yes, is off the air whenever this second series comes out.
So we have some mini vignettes of the chaos in future New York. The main crew of the delivery company is kind of sitting there in the break room, and Professor Frink bursts through the break room window, warning them about the fabric of reality closing. And then the future cops bust in and arrest Frink. And they're like, what the heck is going on? Why are there cops here? And so Farnsworth comes in with flashback pills so he can explain all the exposition that he needs to. And what did he say? Bender, are you hiding your pill under your tongue? No, I hid it under Fry's tongue. So Fry
this
has
is a good visual gag.
It's a great visual gag. Fry is seeing double flashbacks, and he's trying to like reconcile it all in his head, and he's on the ground like very good gag.
I can do a good Wernstrom impression too. I call it the Tickle-E-tron.
That is a good yeah.
Chris is using this as an opportunity to take over for Simpsons and Futurama cast.
They're
fantastic. How do you stop it? I still need funding to develop an off button.
This is our audition tape for The Simpsons right here. This whole episode.
Yeah, that's right.
So
only Wernstrom.
Wernstrom and Marge, and that's
and the professor.
Professor.
I'm not going to do Fry or any of the main characters.
Maybe we'll see who else comes up.
Maybe I can try the voice of a character that's about to appear that's not in the show.
Okay, we'll see. So Farnsworth was at like the scientist invention expo thing looking for funding. He had a self-eating watermelon that he had invented, which is very in line with the show, I think.
Yes.
And Professor Farnstrom, is that his name? Tied his shoelaces.
Wernstrom's the bad one.
Yes, tied his shoelaces together, and he slips and drops the watermelon.
He's wearing sandals.
He's wearing sandals, and it was not his shoelaces. It was his saggy varicose veins. So with that invention shot, he has to come up with another one on the fly. He pulls out the Simpsons comic he had, and he's like, hey, I'm going to try to harness the power of the fictional world. So he plugs it into an MP3 player and a clock, and he cuts it with some special scissors, and it causes all these Simpsons characters to show up at this convention hall. And the other scientists are like, what good are they? And Farnsworth is like thinking, he says, well, as fictional characters, they have no rights, so they make great slave labor. So he sold them all off, and now the cops are watching over everybody.
Yeah, when he says he's going to do this, whatchamacallit, Keep on Trucking Underground Comics artist who had a documentary.
Crumb.
A Crumb character says, did you say comics? No, comics. Now keep on trucking back to the underground, mutant.
So the Simpsons family, during all this, where the cops were rounding everybody up, they run to Planet Express for solace. They meet the main crew when the crew gets home. Then the cops come in, like, hey, we heard there were some fics here, some fictional characters. And like, oh, these are just my life-size action figures, and he bends Homer backwards.
Good bit.
Good bit. Then the professor comes in. They have to make a book delivery to an ice planet in the Lucas galaxy. And so the Simpsons decide they're going to come too. We get a few other gags here in the meantime. I will say these last two issues are more random gag heavy than like gags that move the plot forward, if that makes sense. They're a little bit more like kind of a standard gag comic, I think, that we would have read. Maybe not. They're still good. But the Simpsons mobsters are working for the robot mobsters. They're like, I thought you said we'd be made men. No, we said you'd be made men.
Come on, you got a better Fat Tony than that, right?
No, I don't really know him well enough.
All right. With all respect, Don Bot, when you bought us at the slave market, you said we'd become made men. You must misunderstand, Fat Tony. I said you'd be made men.
It's a great gag. And then this is the gag that Vince did at the beginning of the show where Mo is working at the robot bar. I'm looking for a robot. Is there a 1001011001000 here? Hey, everybody. I want to... good stuff. So silly and so stupid. That's perfect.
Yeah, all the robots laugh. Calculon says, well, she's your mother, but it still doesn't seem appropriate.
Mr. Burns teams up with Mom, which makes perfect sense. He slaps one of the kids, or I think Mom slaps one of the kids over, and the three dumb kids are like...
Slaps all three of them in
all
one
three.
panel.
There we go. And they're like, oh, we have a new daddy.
Maurice LaMarche, the voice of Calculon, and the voice of the smartest of the three stupid sons. Billy West, the stupidest son.
Billy West is really good at playing stupid characters, isn't he? Apu is working at 7 to the 11th power. He's encased in a bulletproof glass suit, but he's not happy with it. Where's the risk? Where's the thrill? Where's the heart? So the team was delivering this book to the ice planet in the Lucas galaxy, and they get captured by a Yeti. Because the book they were delivering to this Yeti was Cooking Delivery People the Low Carb Way. So they are being hung up and being ready to be cooked.
Not a great joke.
It's fine. I like it.
I laughed it. I laughed out loud. I lolled.
Two people liked it, I guess. I thought it was not great.
Listen, we have proof that 66% of all people think this joke is funny.
Look,
right in.
The first Kang and Kodos episode was all how to cook for 40 humans. Like, that was the whole... No, there's still more space dust on this book. I don't know. It seems like it's kind of a hacky joke to me.
All right. But then there is a
joke coming up that made me laugh. So.
Okay, this is a very George Lucas-esque world here. Bart tries to use the Force to grab a stick, but Bender just uses his extendo arm to give it to him. And Bart waves it like he's a dog, and the Yeti goes over the cliff, and they escape. Hooray! Surely the next delivery will be better. The next one has them stuck in a bunch of goop. Meanwhile, we see
alien goop. It's alien.
Yeah, I was gonna
alien
say,
goop.
Marge as Ripley saying, "Get away from my homie."
I didn't even pick up on that.
I love it. And then in the backing material, the artist is like, "This is way too detailed. Why did somebody make this stupid thing like way too detailed and complex, like in real life? The power loader."
It's so funny. And then Bender has a chest burster, but he's a robot, so it's the one character you can get away with that joke.
Yeah, and is stealing a beer from his belly.
It is a total. I didn't spend enough time looking at this page. I think I looked at the goop and I was like, all right, I get it. On to the next page.
both Bart and Leela have face huggers, which makes you think they're going to have chest bursters in a little bit, but we only see Benders. Well,
they survive though. They survive. Meanwhile, Zap Brannigan has a bunch of slaves on his ship too. They're trying to reason with him about rules, but he's it's Zap Brannigan. He's already made up his mind before you start talking to him. And his he gets so huffed up that his clothes kind of rip open and his gut hangs out. Great. We then see Bart screwing around in Farnsworth's slab, playing with everything.
Well, first Smithers, he ingratiates himself to Zap Brannigan, where he's like, "I have some experience with velour. Like we can fix all this." and he's like, I'm promoting you to Chief Petty Laundry Officer. And Kip, again, I only do voices like this, but sir, that means he outranks me.
You do a lot of the Maurice LaMarche voices, don't you?
Yeah.
You're a dead ringer for Maurice.
Yeah, watch out, Maurice LaMarche.
Coming after you.
Pinky and the Brain Chris is coming for you.
Yeah, I do the brain as well.
Wow, good for you.
In July, peas grow there. That's just Orson Welles.
Yeah, that's the Orson Welles they do on Animaniacs.
Yeah, that's not even a brain.
So Bart's screwing around with all of Farnsworth's inventions and stuff, and he and Bender screw with the machine that Farnsworth had made to bring everybody here. But they activate it and screw things up more, and then all of a sudden, every fictional character from every book ever written shows up.
I like that the shears appear to be hooked up to a iPod circa 2005.
Yes, it's perfect. It's all.
This is just like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Chris.
It is.
I recognize
but it's better because you get more
Cat in a Hat. I got Harry Potter here. I'm clocking a Dracula, Anna Green Gables, Babe the
Man in the
Box.
Iron Mask, Hamlet.
I
Three
feel
Musketeers.
like every book ever written, though, I feel like they would there would be more humans than would be able to fit on the Earth, you know?
Yeah, well.
Okay. Great.
We've just seen the first wave.
It's a slightly bigger Earth, like the DC Earth.
It is funny that they throw Harry Potter in there with all the other characters are pretty much classic fiction, like Animal Farm, and then there's Harry Potter, which at the time was less than 10 years old or 15 years old.
Yeah, I feel like the first book's 96. What is this, 05 at this point? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple movies out. His hair is a different color to avoid litigation, and the Cat in the Hat doesn't look the same.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Yes, the second issue has a lot more of that.
They do say in the second issue, some comic book characters show up as well, and Bart's maybe there were comic books in the library, so maybe they really just brought all of the characters from the library to life, which I think would make more sense.
Yeah, the New York Library. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So chapter 4, the Red Menace, like a book, get it?
Clever.
Yeah. The new fictional characters who have just arrived have taken over the city. They're not like pushovers like the Simpsons characters. We got a message from Mayor Dracula. My fellow New Yorkers, I want to suck your blood. Blah.
Morbo. I love Morbo. That's
pretty good.
That's my favorite Maurice LaMarche character.
Vince, let's hear your Morbo.
Oh, Morbo doesn't know how to pronounce that letter that looks like a man with a hat. That letter's T. It's pronounced T. I will destroy you. That's my favorite joke.
Well, hopefully those windmills will keep the turtles cool.
Morbo, I just love it. It's the exact same voice as Lur from Omicron Persei 8 also.
Mm-hmm. Windmills do not work that way.
That's the line. There we go. Man, I watch more Futurama. I'm stuck on the Bad Brains episode. My daughter, I've not been able to get her. We watched the Penguin episode once, and then she's like, we're going back to the Bad Brains episode. So.
Back to the Day the Earth Stood Still. We got to watch Roswell That Ends Well to learn the origin of how this works.
Excuse me, I don't think they ever actually explain that he loses the Delta brainwave until a later episode, The Why of Fry. But
that is true. That is true. But the explanation is pretty clear for those who are close readers.
Yeah, it's like the Stupids. He's his own grandpa.
Mm-hmm,
Yep.
mm-hmm. So what happens in this comic? This one's a little bit more all over the place. Yeah, it really did. So the crew flies out to the edge of the universe to do something, and the Nimbus, Zap Brannigan's ship, attacks them.
But Smithers is now in charge.
Yes,
Smithers is now a pirate captain in charge, and somehow all the Simpsons characters have taken over.
That's right, and he is literally dressed like a pirate as well.
Yeah.
We go back on Earth. What are those two kids? It's Hermes' kid and the professor's kid.
Hubert is the clone of him, and what is Hermes' son's name?
What is Hermes' kid's name?
I don't know. Barbara's the wife. I can't remember.
They're
really. The Route of All Evil is one of my favorite episodes. I love that episode. But either way,
which one is that? Is that
the one where they had a paper route?
Oh, I was gonna say I like the one where. Well, I don't like it. Right? It's not. It's kind of a weak episode, but I love the ending where Bender's like, "You ever considered turning off the TV, sitting down with your kids, and hating them.
Hermes' son is named Dwight.
Dwight, that's right. They start a rival delivery company.
That's right.
And
yes.
It's a pretty fun episode. And then all the Stephen King characters, I guess, attack. They love making fun of Stephen King having too many characters.
I will say, Stephen King, if he read this comic, he'd be pissed off because Jack Torrance holding an axe, not a croquet mallet, which is what he would have had in the book. The axe in the movie.
Yeah.
We get a bunch of DC and Marvel characters show up, but they're all standing in the shadows for copyright protection.
My 4-year-old daughter did manage to clock who all those characters were. She's like, "That's Batman." She knew.
Yeah. She knows.
She didn't know who Wolverine was, though, which is, I think, more of a failing of Marvel right now than.
Wow. Sure. Yeah. Well, now that the Fox merger has happened, now did she recognize the 3 Pippi Longstocking, Nancy Drew, and Anna Greenfield?
No, she did not. We haven't watched We haven't watched Anne with an E on Netflix yet.
Of the 3, you got to watch out for Pippi Longstocking because she can lift a horse over her head, so she can really mess you up.
I do like that Bart ends up pitting DC versus Marvel with a little versus crossover here in the middle of the Simpsons comic. It just felt right, you know.
Yeah.
And Fry's like, lucky you knew that heroes will always stop to fight each other at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
I feel like these books I guess they know that it's a comic book reader audience, but they do a lot of sniping at like comic book tropes and stuff that I think ultimately probably works well and plays well with the audience.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, like if you're going to the comic book shop to buy this, like you've read another comic.
This is not going to be anybody's first comic. I would be very surprised.
You're not getting this in the Disney Adventures aisle or at the grocery store. Yeah. Although this seems like a better fit for that at the 7
honestly,
11th power.
It seems like it would be, but
who knows? So Bart ends up coming up with a different idea. He gets on Fry's shoulders and announces to all the cops. No, he announces to all the fictional characters, "Hey, we're fictional characters too. Go after the Futurama characters instead." Like, damn, that's cold. Bart sold them out, and the Simpsons just kind of walk away a little sad. Like, geez, Bart, why'd you do that? Lisa's like, well, it's a good plan. Now they're free to help everyone because they're not captured. Bart's like, yeah, that's what it was. Meanwhile, back at the Planet Express, Homer is trying to find the remote for the TV. But he doesn't know that it's not a TV. It's the what if machine. So Marge walks by and she's like, "Homer, what if for once in your life?" I'm not doing the voice here. Homer, what if for once?
Okay. All right, I'll do the voice.
Homer, for once in your... It's too much to do a full sentence. I can't.
All right. Homer, what if for once you actually tried to help your family?
Anyways, we see what if Homer tried to help his family. Yes, perfect. And it shows everyone on fire. It's pretty good. Lisa has an idea for how to defeat the fictional characters, though. They go up to the long boxes, grab a comic book, then they go to this big vortex, and they throw in a comic book page of giant Homer in his underwear, which then ends up summoning a giant Homer in his underwear. And they lure him to a giant TV. I don't know what that accomplished because Farnsworth got some other vortex delivered, and then all the fictional characters got sucked back in. It was very Deus Ex Machina, and I'm not entirely sure I understood what the Deus Ex Machina was. You know?
Yeah.
Did y'all glean anything else from that I didn't?
Not really. I was kind of over this at this point.
He defeats the fictional characters by stomping on them, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So everyone explains that TV saved the day against the evil books. Hooray, TV, books evil, boo. And the epilogue is that Mom still has a lock of Mr. Burns' hair, and she's making a clone. Dun, dun, dun. Great. Cute stuff. Second arc, as we already kind of said, not like as great as the first arc. I think like the gags and stuff are still really good, but the first 2 issues were just so magical. I think that these next 2 like kind of fell flat in comparison. Yeah. Vince, it seems like you're far away from the mic. Chris,
yeah, I was putting my book down. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I closed the book. I'm not looking at it anymore. I'm done.
Oh, done with it. Done with it.
But
well, Vince, I wanted you to take a look at this page so we could reference.
Oh shit!
Never mind. It's
in its hardcover slipcase. It is going back on the shelf. It's done.
Seal it in Mylar.
Yeah, or in diamond.
Diamond.
All right, Vince. Let's hear your March.
Oh, help me!
What? What?
That's I haven't watched the Simpsons episode. I guess I did watch Ace. I watched one Simpsons recently, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but I haven't watched the Simpsons in forever. Apparently there was a Simpsons Futurama actual episode crossover. After the second time Futurama was canceled in 2014. I have not seen it.
A long time ago now. Can you do any Futurama impressions?
I just have Morbo and Lur.
Okay.
And La Barbara, husband. That's all I got.
All right.
You do Zoidberg?
No, I used to have a Zoidberg. I can't do it here. Oh look, no, I can't do it. I'm not a vocal performer anymore.
A great doctor I must be. Nah, it's just
I'm having a hard time coming with like the lines and stuff. Also, so yeah, don't have that on. I'll work on it next time. So next episode, I'll bust out all my Futurama impressions. It'll not make any sense.
I mean, I hope you at least read all their voices in the voices.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I mean, 100%. And I mean, it kind of rekindled my love of Futurama because I really was soured on the Comedy Central run, and the movies were all right. Chris liked them a lot less, as most people did. But I'm reading the comic, especially the O2 comics, when the TV show was like happening, and I'm like, this is really, really tight. It's good. I felt like it serviced Futurama really well, because Futurama does have episodes where they go back to like our present day. And those just feel like, Star Trek episodes, where they similarly time travel back, and it like works as a sci-fi premise. You get to see a good like smattering of characters like interacting with each other. You're in, you're out, and I'm happy. And then this one was like the Simpsons don't fit as well in the future to me. So I think that just, and then it lost the plot and it's like, didn't really even care if it was a Simpsons Futurama crossover for the back half of it. It's them fighting fictional characters, which why are the Simpsons here at this point? So.
They're also fictional characters, I guess, in the world of the show.
But like, it's not special, Like the specialness is that it's two Groening properties mixing together, and then why are we not focusing on that? Like that, I just kind of like lost interest.
I think they kind of ran out with like the jokes in Futurama are so world based that adding in Simpsons characters doesn't add anything. Like you said, it's just like there's nothing particularly special about it. So I think you kind of run out of jokes pretty quick. Other than let's just see some of these characters in future situations.
Right.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it does have Marge in a power loader saying to the alien queen, "Get away from my homie, you fuck."
Like, it's still really fun. I don't want to make it sound like I didn't enjoy these last two issues, It's just, like, not as great as the first two. It's just kind of there. Yeah. Anything else to say about these? I'm really glad we read these. I would like to read some more Simpsons stuff. Maybe we're maybe thinking of doing some Treehouse of Horror eventually.
There's another volume of the Treehouse of Horrors coming out. I think next month, or maybe not this month. It's August, I think. But yeah, they collected it and they put like, because it's like Treehouse of Horrors, like their horror anthology stuff, and they basically have like Tales from the Crypt style comics, with like 3 or 4 like weird stories in these issues. And then they put them like all together, like in this collection is like all the like the monster issues, and then all the like Twilight Zone-y type ones. So that's how they're organized. And they actually like go off model with like different art styles a lot in those. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool. I can't wait.
I'm happy we read it though. I'm happy to have checked it out.
Yeah, like surprisingly better than I didn't expect them to be bad necessarily. I don't know what I expected, but they were like way better than I expected.
Simpsons issue 1 apparently won an Eisner for best single issue back like in '93.
Maybe we'll read that soon. Maybe we'll do something.
That's the one with the big Homer.
I see.
It's mentioned.
Oh, and yeah, this collection also reprinted Simpsons #1, right?
Yeah, it actually has it like in the slipcover, like in the dust jacket. It has like a standalone like reprinted issue. It's not like part of the binding. It's very weird.
Oh, that's nice. Nice.
That's a Fantastic Four parody for those who don't recognize it. That he's the monster that the Mole Man's summoning is Homer.
I see. Well, great. I think we're ready to move on to Knightfall now. Anything else to say about? Yeah, let's do it. We are on chapter 17 in Batman 499. She's written by Doug Mensch, Jim Aparo.
Sounds like a milestone issue's about to come up.
Yeah, almost.
Getting there.
Covered by Kelly Jones.
So to recap, Bruce has had his back broken. He's in a wheelchair. Jean-Paul Valley is Batman, and he is still out of control. Anger issues like crazy. He's beaten up Tony, tough guy Tony, what's his name, for information. And he's like, hey, Bane still has my kids, and Robin's trying to beat this guy up. No, I'm sorry. Batman's beating this guy up, and Robin's like, hey, you gotta stop, man. Batman just yells at Robin. This is not a great relationship.
Yeah,
but
he's like, yeah, I'll work for you, Batman, because that guy's got my kids. Like, I don't give a shit about your kids.
Yeah.
I just want to kill Bane.
Yeah, so Jean-Paul says, hey, when you're meeting with Bane to get your kids back, leave me a note here in this crack in the wall, and I'm going to come get it, okay? Like, all right, cool.
And yeah, he says he's going to feed him his eyes if he doesn't.
Yeah. At the Batcave, Bruce is analyzing some of the blood that the kidnappers, Robin's dad got kidnapped in the last issue. And he's got some blood from the kidnappers. He's analyzing it. He discovers that the kidnapper has been vaccinated against malaria. Then Bird is talking to Bane about Batman being back. And Bane's like, nah, it's not him. It's just a costume. I will crush this pretender. He's a little upset about it. Especially because it's kind of ruining his deals because other people are like, they think Batman's back. Oracle.
I wish Bane would put the mask on. He looks so stupid without it.
Yeah.
I agree. Put that mask on. Oracle.
It should be like Rey Mysterio. Like every time you're out in public, wear the mask.
Yeah, it'd be too weird not to. Well, I mean, he's technically not out in public.
I know, but still, he's got three people in the room.
Every time you're on panel.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he has the mask.
Exactly.
I had that voice
Harley
and
Quinn.
I lost it.
Was that a Bane voice?
Yeah, that's Harley Quinn Bane.
Yeah. Return the pasta maker.
Where's my chair? That's a pretty good one.
It's nothing but a costume. Yeah, that works. Here we go.
That's good.
Thank you.
This is the
I've
voice.
I've redeemed myself.
So
I
Batman,
the real Batman.
You take Zombie and Krog. I lost it.
That's losing it a little bit.
Lost it.
just a little bit. So
turning into a bird.
All right. So Batman has sent the blood sample to Oracle to get more information. She has found out that the specific strain of malaria comes from a small island nation called Santa Prisca. Oracle also kind of gives Batman a little. This is real Batman, Bruce Wayne, gives him a little like, hey, hope you're getting used to the wheelchair. Hope you get out of it soon, that kind of thing. And he's like, you must have me mistaken for someone else. I am not in a wheelchair, but she knows, They are gonna go to this island nation. Jean-Paul zooms in on the Batmobile, and Bruce is like, all right, I'm leaving everything in your hands, man. Then a weird series of panels I can't explain where Jean-Paul has like a trance where he draws some new spiked gloves and he gets the system to make it. Chris, do you know what's happening here?
Well, it's called automatic writing. He is more or less hypnotized into writing out the designs for cool bat gloves.
Somehow, with a number 2 pencil, he's able to draw a fully colored in pair of bat gloves, and I'm not sure how he did it, but
he's good with a pencil, man.
With a little bat logo on there too.
It's blue.
And
it's like 4 color. It's pretty impressive for one pencil.
Yeah.
And he draws these crazy gauntlets. They're like gloves with like spikes all over them and like big long kind of fingernail things.
It looks like something I drew when I was 8.
Yeah, and it's literally. Go ahead, Chris.
We don't know how much time has passed. This could have been like 6 hours, Vince, that he was drawing and he had like his colored pencils out and the whole thing. And then he's like, hey, Harold, Tim, like, is anyone here? And
Who's
just wakes
Harold,
up.
by the way?
Harold is the mechanic that works on the car.
Okay. Yeah. I heard this name Harold. I'm like, that's not Alfred. Who's Alfred? I was very confused for a little while. Okay. Thank you.
So these gloves that Jean-Paul created, like it's within the span of a panel, and he's like, I bet I can make this. And then on the next panel, it's like, it worked. But he uses it to like get the note out of that crack in the wall that he told Tough Tony to put in there, and he just like really needed some long nails to get in there. I'm like, you could have just got a pair of pliers, dude. That's all you needed. What are you doing?
Yeah, but he's gonna crush people with his robot hands.
Yeah, that's true.
Hell yeah.
So it's got information. The deal is happening at a warehouse in an hour, and Robin's like, okay, yeah, so we should definitely not go there, right? And John Paul, of course, can't be convinced. So they go to the exchange. Batman storms in, John Paul Batman, and he kind of puts the kids in danger too. There's gunfire everywhere. The kids do end up okay. Nothing happens. Batman knocks the 3 goons out, and of course they can't get info on Bane because they're knocked out.
Meanwhile, in the meet cute part of this book, Selena Kyle is at the Gotham International Airport and is like, I need a flight to this tiny island country. And they're like, I'm sorry, but we don't have any flights in the next 24 hours. There is a private chartered flight, but you couldn't possibly be on that.
Yes. So she's trying to get on this flight to Santa Prisca for some reason. We have Robin heads to the Batcave to talk to Bruce, but he just finds John Paul there, and he's designing more stuff, and he kind of apologizes for arguing a little bit. And he says, hey, you should go visit your dad. Then we get a scene where Bruce and Alfred are flying off to this island, and Catwoman stumbles out of the bathroom. She's like, "Oh, I just needed to use the bathroom. Are we in the air? Are we flying? Oh my goodness!" She's just playing kind of dumb. Is she like in disguise? Not really. Like they know it's her. It's kind of an awkward.
He calls her Miss Kyle.
Yeah.
Does Bruce know who Selena Kyle? Bruce knows who Selena Kyle is.
Knows. There's something very awkward about this like panel where she's like being tumbled around in this definitely just an excuse to kind of draw her body in a interesting position.
I was missing something. I was like, why is she doing this?
Yeah, it's very odd. Then Robin goes to see his dad, but he's not there because he's been kidnapped. He just sees a note from Alfred saying, "We will find your dad." Okay. You could have just told him, I feel like that would be the thing to do.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
Not leave a note on his dad's bed wait for him to go check on his dad and surprise him with it. Like, you just tell him. That seems rude. But that was the end of that issue. Next time, let's talk about this issue first here. It was fine. It feels like, things are moving. It's a lot of setup for other stuff because nothing feels like it really resolved. It's almost a little bit more of the same, other than Bruce now going to this island with Selena Kyle. But everything else doesn't really feel like it moved stuff forward too much, really. Yeah.
Just more of John Paul acting crazy.
Yeah.
But I also don't like that he's like hypnotized crazy. I wish he was just kind of like shitty. I don't like this like extra element of like Azrael might be taking over and it was all his brainwashing that like makes him.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that as a plot element. I think it's too much.
Yeah, I don't like that Robin is like, this is more, you're acting more like Azrael. You're like, okay, we get it.
Mm-hmm.
And also Tim is really being a loser in this issue. Like, I know Batman's being crazy, but it's like, come on, man. Like, at least like when you're not in front of mobsters, question Batman instead of constantly being like, Batman, what are you doing?
The part that like I'm weird about is that there's just no communication between Bruce Wayne and Robin. Like there's nothing there. It's like, oh, this is your new Batman now. You go through him. That's it. Like there's just no like, hey Batman, I think this guy might not be working out great. He's a little odd with his methods. Like none of that. I don't know.
Nope. And yeah, I mean, Bruce doesn't even tell him his dad's been kidnapped. That was last issue.
You had a whole issue. But overall, it's moving forward. We're getting close to the end of this. We're next time is going to be Knightfall chapter 18 in Detective Comics 666.
Whoa!
Wow. It's wild that Detective Comics 666 lined up with Batman 500. That's kind of two similar milestones at the same time.
Right.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
But we will read that next time. Who's this on the cover? That's Bane. That's Bane looking scary. And what's our main read next time? We are the Eisners just happened. Ooh, big time for comics. The Eisner Awards.
I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody care? I honestly don't know. I don't know how prestigious they are, but they are interesting to me, and it's usually like when I check in to be like, what's going on with modern comics that people are into these days.
Yeah, we've kind of been doing it every year, just like picking and choosing something to read from there. And the winner for best ongoing series was Nightwing by Tom Taylor, which I think is in like its 4th trade or something right now.
Yeah, it's like Nightwing 2016, but they took over like in 2021 with like issue like 78, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm like a Nightwing book is winning best ongoing series, which I guess is like Captain America's winning best series, like with Brubaker. I'm like, really? Like, I wouldn't think that a Nightwing book could ever get that kind of prestige.
Yeah, who knows? We'll see what it's all about here. I don't know that I've ever read a Nightwing book ever.
We read like Nightwing Year 1, I want to say, but that's the extent. That's the extent of Night. And I like Nightwing. I like Dick Grayson. He's a fine character. I like his character design. I like the costume. Nothing against him, but also why would I read this? So I'm intrigued because apparently people are digging it. I guess it's winning awards, so it must be good.
Yeah, so we're going to read the first volume, which was also nominated for best new ongoing series or something. It is from Nightwing 78 through 83 by Tom Taylor with art by Bruno Redondo. It's called Leaping into the Light is the name of the trade there. So yeah, we'll be reading that next time, and then Nightwing and Nightfall next time.
Nightfall.
Big old Batman time. We've been a lot of Batman. There's a lot of Batman comics out there.
666 of them.
Well, this is old, so there's a lot more than that.
Okay.
Yep. But we are, I think, finished with this episode. What else is going on? Well, Chris, what's going on with the Your Stupid Minds podcast?
We just recently put out an episode about the Care Bears movie, a movie that almost broke my brain. One of the worst things we've ever done in celebration of Barbie coming out, one of the earliest theatrically released toy movies. We've come a long way in the last 40 years.
Wow.
This is the movie that broke you, really? Wow.
It was really, really bad.
I kind of want to see it now.
All right, Grumpy Bear.
All right. I am the Grumpy Care Bear was our favorite. Secret Bear, our least favorite. Bad moral to the children, annoying character.
Wow.
Don't tell your parents things. Keep secrets from them.
We learned that with Power Pack. Don't tell your parents that you've been adopted by a horse god. But yeah. Nothing's going on with me. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just kind of hanging in. School's about to start up. It's too hot in Texas. That's pretty much all that's going on. Stay cool, y'all.
Yeah. It's summertime. I'm either working or I'm out and about. You know how it is. You know how it's
summer in the city.
Hot time summer in the city.
Yeah.
Hot boy summer. All that. That's it. We'll see y'all next time. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Chris, I love you.
Oh, sorry. I went into a trance. It's like I was automatic writing. What did I write here?
What did you write?
Kia is a nerd. What? Oh, no.
You even drew a little Chris logo next to that picture.
Oh, my God. But, is the machine going to fabricate that now?
Yeah, but could it become true?
Oh, no. It could become, that fictional work could become true with the green vortex. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, I hope it doesn't become true because there's nothing nerdy about me. Thank you very much. I'm gonna go play some video games while I watch some wrestling. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see y'all next time. We love you, listener.
See you next time on our comic book
on our comic book podcast. Good night. Bye.